Hey, let's talk about happiness. All right, little preface before we dive in. My name is Armana Jumal. I'm currently a student at Northeastern University. I'm studying psychology, right? But I am no positive psychologist, and that's basically all about the study of happiness, right, in humans. So I will say this before we dive into the things that have made me happy, and the things that will probably make you a lot happier, and some of those habits. Before we dive into that, I want to say I don't have any credentials. I don't have any fancy degrees or certifications. However, what I do have is for the past year and a half, I haven't gotten angry or yelled at someone. For the past 7, 8 months, I've gone to sleep every single night proud of who I am and at peace. So I think that itself is more valuable than any fancy PhD or bullshit degree. So let's put that out of the way. But that's again my opinion. I'm biased. Once again, this is not doctor advice. No, this is advice from some 20-year-old kid who thinks a lot, reads probably a little too much philosophy, and has too much free time on his hands. Anyways, let's get into it. So, before we dive into the habits and the activities that have actively made my life happier, a good question or a good place to start is what is happiness, right? Happiness is a very personal thing. It means different things to different people. For some people, happiness is simply the pursuit of pleasure, right? Of just enjoying pleasurable experiences like food, sex, drink, I don't know, a pleasant smell. Like, this is just the pursuit of pleasure is true happiness. I don't really subscribe to that belief. I don't think it is something which is set in stone. I think happiness changes as you age, right? So your definition of happiness changes as you change, right? For example, every 12-year-old probably looks at someone like Andrew Tate who has a lot of fancy cars and has a lot of women around him, and are probably like, that is what happiness looks like. But as you grow older, you change, right? And maybe a 30-year-old, you ask him, they're like, Andrew Tate doesn't look like he's that happy. He doesn't look like he's having a very good life, right? And when you're 30 years old, your definition of happiness might be something more akin to like having a very loving and nice family. And whatever it might be. So definitions change over time. For me personally, my definition of happiness, it's kind of an amalgamation of a few different ones. One, I think it is sort of similar to the ancient Greeks. So if you go to Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, especially like especially Aristotle, he talked about this a lot in his theory of virtue ethics, which is very, very important. And as well as the Stoics, I'm very much into Stoicism as well. So like the Stoics talk about this, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, Zeno, all those guys. They mention this thing called eudaimonia, right? Which is basically translated into English is sort of flourishing, right? And to me, when I think about flourishing, I think about like a plant is flourishing, a tree is flourishing. It is in the state of growth. All right, so I want to talk about that. I think flourishing is a state of growth, perhaps. So happiness is the state of growth, the feeling of that you are growing as a human being. But one of the big parts about happiness and eudaimonia specifically is this moral component, right? There's a certain moral aspect to happiness, right? How good of a person are you? And if you're not a good person, you can't really be happy. And this is a question of ethics, and we're going to dive into that eventually, whatever. But for right now, let's just imagine that in order to be happy, you have to be a good person. I think this is pretty legitimate. I think this kind of makes sense, right? The Buddhists talk about this in terms of the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is basically a way of ethics. Ethics is a study of how humans should act, right? We're not going to dive super deep into moral philosophy right now, but I just want to introduce the idea that part of being happy is being a good person. And that heavily ties into some of the habits. And the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to happiness, and this is sort of in my own life, informed by some of the books I've read and things I've thought about, and especially deep contemplation. I think happiness really at the end of the day is like a deep sense of peace, of not wanting things to be different and to just enjoy the moment, right? To be happy is to be present, right? Theoretically, like let's think about this. The past is gone and the future is simply a concept in our mind. It's this abstract concept. So the only thing that truly exists is the present moment. And I think that's when happiness comes into play. We cannot be we cannot experience happiness in any other moment of time except the present moment, except the here and the now. So I think part of happiness is really accepting that fact and embracing the moment, being present, and feeling peace. Not wanting things to be different, not having a ton of shit on your mind. Just, you don't have this monkey in your mind flinging shit at the walls as you're just like, you guys know that one episode of SpongeBob, right? That one episode of SpongeBob where they showed the inside of SpongeBob's mind, and it's like an office building just on fire, and batshit crazy, and it's just complete awful. Yes. Like, that is what most of us are living in 24/7. Walking down the street, staring at our phones like goddamn zombies, walking into poles, right? Like, that is not, I don't think that's happiness. So I do think part of happiness is that sense of peace and joy. Anyways, I know that was really long. Let's dive into these habits because that's what really, really matters. So, without further ado, these are 5 happiness habits that have made me a better person. Number 1, this is going to come as no surprise, exercise. Alright, and I know you guys are probably going to click off this video right now, but just wait. My belief, I think happiness is sort of mastering the self. To master the self, you must master the spirit. To master the spirit, or the soul, you must master the mind, right? What's going on up here. And to master the mind, you must master the body. And the first way to truly become happy, which is self-mastery, the first step along that path is mastering the body. It's exercising, right? A healthy mind can only be achieved through a healthy body, right? If you expect to feed your body garbage foods, right, like fucking Twinkies and donuts, how do you expect your mind to be operating at 100% capacity, 100%, 100% ability, right? Like, we know our minds and our bodies are not disconnected, right? We are learning about for example, the gut-brain interaction, right? We know the nervous system, how our brain is interacting with our body. So it makes sense that the foods that we eat and the things that we do to our body affect the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act. So, number 1 happiness habit is simply exercise, right? In terms of the biochemistry of it, right? Like, it releases stress in your body, some bullshit like that. I think dopamine and serotonin is like something as a result. Oxytocin, I've heard. I honestly don't know the deep biochemistry of exercise, but that's okay because I only know it makes me feel really good. Not only makes me feel good about my body and look at myself in the mirror and be like, damn, you look good. Like, that feels good to feel good. But it also makes me just clear-headed, physically feel great. It makes me feel like a badass when I'm up at the gym at 5 a.m. and I'm like lifting iron at 5:30 a.m. Like, that makes me feel great. So another great thing about the gym is that you're gonna meet a lot of amazing people here at the gym, right? So because the gym is a place where people who want to improve their bodies, improve their physiques, become better people usually, you sort of have this selection effect where most of the people that are going to be working out are going to be people who believe they could change their lives, are people who want more out of their life, are people who don't just accept what everyone else around them is telling them is reality, but they're like, no, I'm going to go change it. I'm going to go take control of my destiny. Not saying everyone is like that. 99% of the people I met at the gym are not like the philosopher, go-getter mentality, entrepreneurial spirited. But some people are. So if you want to meet more people like that, which this is scientifically proven, or scientifically correlated, right? Happiness, one of the best predictors of happiness is long-term relationships. So that's another thing, right? Here's a great place to meet long-term friends. Next, happiness habit number 2. Making someone's day better. And what I mean by this is simply doing small acts of kindness or of compassion that make someone's day better. All right. So, for example, one thing I try to do is always strike up a conversation with a stranger every day, right? Maybe I'm on the train. Maybe I see someone who has cool shoes walking down the street. I'll say, "Hey, cool shoes." Or I'll say, I was on the train the other day and I saw someone wearing an awesome watch, and I like watches, right? I say, "Hey, I love your watch, man." Or I saw someone listening to a podcast that I listened to. It's like, "Hey, let's talk about that," right? And I think these small little compliments, these small little acts really do make a big difference in people's lives. Because I know when I'm wearing a nice pair of shoes that I just got, or I'm wearing a nice jacket, and someone compliments that, it makes my day better. So I think about the same thing applies to everyone else. So I want to be the person that makes other people's day better, right? So every night before I go to sleep, I go back and I think, okay, how did I make someone's day better today? And if I end up making someone's day better, then I had a good day, because that's all what we're here to do, right? It reminds me of the impact that I have on people's lives, and it's so easy to forget that, especially if you're in a city, right? You just kind of lose the value of human life as a result of being in a city and surrounded by so many people. So simply doing that active contemplation of, hey, how did I make someone's day better today? It's incredible. So that's one thing that's made me a dramatically happier person. It shows me that I actually do matter, right? Also, apologies for the weird focusing stuff going on, but just forget about that. Happiness habit number 3, cooking for myself. This is something that's kind of contentious. I don't really see why, but some people are like, cooking is so stupid because you end up spending so much time cooking, and then, you have to clean and this and that, and it's like when you could just go out and get Chipotle or like whatever healthy food, which is like, first of all, that shit's not very healthy, right? Let's just talk about the fact of like all the bullshit and seed oils and really low quality food that many restaurants use. Besides the point, I don't care about the fact that me cooking makes me 15 minutes less productive, because the return on happiness it gives me, which is like, what else are you living for if you're not living to be happy? Like, the return on happiness is just essential, right? Because by cooking for myself, I end up making really high quality food, right? I eat the grass-fed and the high quality stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it's not cheap, but it's also not as expensive as you'd think. You just have to do it well. Cooking for myself is like, I just finished like 10 minutes ago, not 10 minutes ago, before this video was recorded. I made myself a steak and butternut squash and a sweet potato. It's fucking spectacular. I took my time, I made that meal, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And the pure bliss that it brought me was more bliss than a $50 million steak, A5 Wagyu bullshit at Smith & Wollensky's or some pompous-ass steakhouse. So, that, cooking for yourself, making that meal, it's an act of creation, right? It's literally taking raw ingredients and making something beautiful out of it, right? It's truly like, it gives you a real connection to your food, and especially it's like a form of self-care for me. Because by cooking myself really good meals, I am fueling my body with the nutrients it craves, with what it wants, and it makes me feel good. So, amazing. And another thing about cooking which I found is that it's an act which is very similar to driving, in the sense that it's pretty easy, right? Cooking doesn't require a lot of mental effort, right? But it's an opportunity for you to reflect, to look in, and to kind of talk to yourself, to introspect, to figure out or find solutions to problems. It's really amazing. When you're driving, I think it's a great time to like kind of, you have 10 or 15 minutes to just solve a problem in your mind, to just think or to just reflect. And for me, cooking is like that as well, where I'm in the city, I don't drive, right, here in Boston, but by cooking a lot, I get that opportunity to constantly reflect and think and, all that stuff. Number 4, mindful moments. Oh my god, guys, this is so essential. Basically, every day I take a few moments out of my day, just sprinkled throughout whenever I'm maybe brushing my teeth or I am sipping my coffee, especially that's a big one, like sipping my coffee in the morning, or on the train to work or on a walk. I just take these mindful moments where I breathe in, breathe out, and just experience and be present. And I know that sounds kind of woo-woo. I know that sounds kind of bullshit. It is life-changing. Because in these moments, I get to experience the present. I get to experience and realize the fact that, like, most of the mind chatter that's going on up here that's causing me anxiety or stress or making me depressed and shit, that stuff really isn't that real. And getting out of your own head and getting into reality is just, like, so essential to living a happier motherfucking life. So these mindful moments where you just take a minute or two, it doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be a 20-minute meditation, it doesn't have to be a 40-minute vipassana, like, just whenever you have a second to breathe. Maybe your food's in the microwave and you're waiting for it to cook, or maybe you're just waiting for coffee to come along. Just take a breath in, breath out, and you just sit. And especially during these moments, I kind of find myself reflecting and pondering and being, especially like, I had this moment the other day, I was walking to work, and I was in this very nice, mindful headspace, and I was just reflecting on the fact that, like, my younger self would be so proud of me right now. And, 3.5 years ago, I remember crying myself to sleep in my bed at 16.5 years old, because some girl didn't like me, right? I remember that, And 3.5 years later, here I am, making this awesome video, talking about happiness. I just finished, I was reading some awesome philosophy earlier, which makes me so happy. I cooked myself an amazing meal. I look awesome. I competed in a bodybuilding show a few months ago. Like, all this stuff that I'm so grateful for in my life. And only in 3.5 years, such big changes, right? From being controlled by other people to now the arbiter of my happiness is me. And that's just an amazing feeling, So these mindful moments really do change you. And the last thing I want to talk about, happiness habit number 5, is doing things I love, right? This seems kind of obvious, but what I mean is things that have no obvious end goal, right? So these are described as ateleological or non-teleological things, right? Real quick, teleological. This word stems from telos. It's a Greek word, telos, which kind of means end or goal, right? So for example, Aristotle says, and he was a Greek philosopher, he said, an ancient Greek philosopher, he said, the human telos, so the human end goal, is eudaimonia, flourishing, right? So activities with a certain telos, for example, I go to work on Monday morning because the telos is to make money. That's why I go to work. I read a book because the telos is to maybe gain some insight, right? But doing non-end related goals, non-teleological things, right? Things that I'm doing simply for the sake of them, simply because I enjoy them, that is truly amazing. That has given me so much happiness. For example, one of the things I'm doing right now that's non-teleological, that doesn't have an end goal for any pursuit, is this video. I'm just recording this for myself and for you guys. And the end goal is simply the video. Awesome. I'm reading a new book by Henry Miller. Or not that the book is new, but rather the author and the type of fiction it is to me, it's new. It's called Sexist. Very interesting. Not sexist, sexus. So Sexus, alright? Very, very good. It's part of a series. That is non-teleological, right? I'm tripping over my own words. It's simply something I'm doing because I enjoy it, right? For me, watching a show every now and then, right? I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen, fucking spectacular. Highly recommend that. There's no end to that goal, right? It's just watching the show, just whatever. Going for walks, right? The whole purpose of a walk is just to walk. It's just doing it. There's no end goal. I'm not doing the walk because Huberman said that 15-minute walk in the morning makes me more productive, so then I could slave away at my 9-to-5 job as I do with this. No. The purpose of the walk is to fucking walk. Apologies for the focus. Besides the point. Playing music. I unfortunately don't have my guitar up here. Instead of that, I've kind of been doing poetry instead. But yeah, so maybe picking up my guitar, just strumming a few chords, or writing poetry every now and then. There is no end to this. I'm not trying to sell it and make $1,000,000. I'm simply writing or playing music or doing what I love because it's what I love doing it. And these sort of activities which you genuinely enjoy that have no end goal. They're not trying to make you more productive or more of a better worker or this or that. No, 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 no. These things are shit you just enjoy. It's stuff you just enjoy. And it's incredible. It's truly, truly incredible. I think this connects you with your inner child. And this is going to be a topic I dive into later on, but I think connecting to your inner child is truly something that changes your life. Because you have this new curiosity and fascination with existence as a whole. So, doing things that are non-teleological, that have no end goal other than the self. Doing them for the sake of them. To finish it off, I know those are 5 happiness habits, so I'm just going to repeat them real quick. Number 1 is exercise. Number 2 is making someone's day better. Number 3 is making a meal for myself, cooking. 4 is these mindful moments. And 5 is the doing things for the sake of them. To wrap this up, y'all, I want to say thank you so much for watching. That's amazing. Incorporate one of these habits. See what it is. A lot of you guys probably exercise. Maybe you don't. Try that. A lot of you guys probably go for walks every now and then, but do it without your headphones in. Do it without AirPods or whatever, and just listen to the sounds of nature, right? One of the big things I highly recommend to people is actively trying to make someone's day better. You can't control whether their day is better or not, but at least if you do the thing, right? Like helping someone out with a problem they're facing, or talking to someone, having a real good heart-to-heart, or just whatever it is. If you do those things, you're going to be happier because you're going to realize, oh wow, I improve the world, I make it a better place. And that's what all of us want to do. We just want to make the world a better place, right? That's it. That is it. So yeah, guys, like try these out. Please leave some comments, some of your happiness habits and what you really love and love to do. We're going to continue these. I'd love for you guys to reach out to me on Instagram or on Twitter, especially Twitter. I'm very active there, or even my email. I'll leave my website down in the link, so you could just go contact me on email or any social media platform. Please tell me what you would like to see from me, or what kind of ideas you'd like me to talk about, or even what ideas you would like to talk about, because I love talking to people, and I bet you're a pretty cool person, so let's talk. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Those are the 5 happiness habits that have made me a happier person, a lot more peaceful, and go to sleep proud and enjoy my life. And try them out. If they work, keep them in. If they don't, don't. From there on, I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Be a lifelong learner and stay curious, and you are looking gorgeous. Take care. Peace.